Jerry, are you okay with this hinge?
Yeah.
Because I can get you any kind you want, 4 holes, 2 holes, bronze, no hinge at all.
Why don't we just go with the one in your hand?
Well, these are different.
Drop one. Left.
Hey, how's it going? Hi, Jerry, I'm sorry I'm late. George and we've been up all night long. I can make up the time to you any number of ways.
How about this? Finish this thing up today!
Couple questions for you.
No! No more questions! Just figure it out for yourself and get it done!
All right, Jerry. But I could figure it out myself any way you want.
Just do it!
Hello, I'm Tanya Harris with the Bureau of Internal Business Services, and over the past few years I've learned a lot about change and what it takes to be a change agent. In this short video, I'll share with you some key traits to become a successful change agent and to handle change, and also share the perspective of others that we work with, how they've adapted to change, advice they have for change agents and leaders, and some of the tools they have used to help them, and much more. Hope you enjoy the video.
The success rate of major change initiatives is quite low. It's actually 54% of all change initiatives are successful. It's a very low number. The top reason change initiatives fail is something we call change fatigue. It means too many change initiatives without prioritization. The second reason is the CEO and his or her top team are just dictating what should change. What is this change program about? That actually doesn't work very often. The organization can become quite passive aggressive and wait until that CEO or executive team turns over before they actually enact the change. The biggest mistake change managers make is thinking that communications is the same as engagement.
So when I started my career, and you're looking for a job and what do I enjoy, I described it that I wanted to work for somebody who had a good idea of where he or she was going, had competencies to get there, and I didn't feel like I had to wash my hands after I shook hands with them. Now, of course, being in the workforce and knowing more terms, I now know those are things called vision, competencies, and integrity. And quite frankly, they're very important for leadership because people do make decisions about who they want to follow and how far. And that plays into whether or not someone will follow you when you introduce a change to them. Change is not intrinsically good or bad, and so it's actually important to discern between whether or not someone's trying to follow down a wrong path or a good path. And my advice is don't ever talk yourself out of the ability to discern those things. Otherwise, you can have leaders leading people to bad ends just as you can have leaders leading people. So I would say don't give up on the ability to say, I need to think that through. I need to think through that change for myself.
In state, I was the head of 2 departments. You have a lot of authority when you're the head of 2 departments.
That's for sure.
And I came here to the city and I was an individual contributor, which in some ways was a lot easier because it was just me and I was responsible for my own work. But it was different because I was responsible to meet everybody else's expectations versus them meeting my expectations. So there's a lot of, I don't know, it gave me a new appreciation for what my staff did because it had been too long since I'd been line staff that I had forgotten the level of hustle it takes to be an individual contributor with a huge workload. And so I had to adjust my own thinking.
Here's a quote for you by H.P. Lovecraft. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is the fear of the unknown. So that deals a lot with change. For instance, in facilities, we have a new division manager, we have a new O&M manager, we have a new supervisor, we have new dispatchers, we have new apprentices. There's a lot of new, and with all of this new comes a lot of fear that people have. We've also went from a demand-based work order system to try and transform that into a PM program that focuses more on the longevity of our assets that we have for the city, and ultimately will increase satisfaction by the customers. But that's a huge change for the team that has operated for many years on a demand-based program. So to bring about all of this change, we've also went through a shop reorg where all of our routes were rebid. That in itself brought a whole lot of things out, and a lot of stress was revealed. But and I know that change is tough. People like a routine. It's comfortable. It's predictable. Change brings a lot of discomfort, and there's a lot of fear of the unknown. And this leads to a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. It triggers a lot of emotions in people.
Go back to those three things. So have you communicated what the end vision is going to be for people? This is actually how it's going to improve things for the community, for our workforce. That's important to be able to institute a change. Do you have the right people working on the project or on the change? Do you have the right competencies? Because if you don't, that will be very apparent that you don't. So you've got to make sure that you've got the right people, the right skill sets in order to institute that change. And you also need to have integrity about it. Welcome ideas when people give you pushback, because if you agree on the goal that you want to achieve, be flexible about how it's going to get done. Not only does that help give people who are involved in the change more ownership and more control, but they also recognize that you're not just, you need to do this because I told you to. That hasn't worked on people for a long time.
I know that in all of the chaos, there's a lot of turmoil. It's a dark time, and there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unknown, but I can say that it will help you seize the opportunity. People will focus on the light in any dark room. So you can choose to be positive and accept change, because there's good that can come out of that. There's opportunities that can come out of that, and people start noticing those that are taking the change and adapting well to it. Those are the ones who are going to, who are being singled out by management and being acknowledged, and that's the people that I feel management wants to elevate. So in our darkest times and our most tumultuous, in the change environment here, try and be positive.
And sometimes it seems like that's the hardest part for our environment. People don't want it to change necessarily, but things have to change. We have to move to a more automated and a more tangible product. In this day and age, you're used to doing every single thing online, and if you can't, then you think, I don't want to even work with this company. Well, nobody has any choice but to work with us,
Right.
And using all of our technology to quantify things we're not used to quantifying is difficult for people to get around. In HR, you can't just measure everything on how long did it get from A to B, because the quality of how it got from A to B matters.
If there were no change, there'd be no butterflies. It's inevitable, progress is optional.
Until next time, have a fantastic day.
Summertime, I get to stay up late.
If I can reach the
School starts, I have to go to bed early.
pull one down for you,
Pajamas on. That means all the fun ends. I
shining
don't
on
like
the
that.
heart, so you could see the truth. Damn this love I